All right, my name's Harold Davis, and this is my presentation on teaching to different needs. The first thing I really feel like everyone needs to do is really just evaluate the students. Get to know your students and their learning styles. There's several online tests that you can give just to sort of figure out how each student learns, because not all students learn the same way. Not all students enjoy the same things. I mean, just like not all teachers enjoy the same things, and I mean, everybody likes to mix it up a bit, and everyone has a different way of learning that they're comfortable with, and so each student needs a way. They need a chance to learn in his or her own way, and each student can have their own assignments while not working yourself to death, because I mean, we all know that we don't have that much time to have an individual curriculum for every student. But you can do that in a way that they're all doing the same assignments. They're just doing them in different ways. So you also need to evaluate your way of teaching. Do you as a teacher only teach the way that you want to learn? I mean, I know I was bad about that for the longest time. Just really, I would teach kids the way that I wanted to learn the information, and that didn't work for a lot of kids. Do you teach in different ways? Do you understand all of your students' needs? And that's not just kids with special needs, with IEPs or whatnot. That's all of your kids. And do all of your assignments look the same? We have teachers at our school that are famous for packets and packets of worksheets, and the kids hate them. I mean, most kids hate them. Some kids love that because that's the way they learn. But for a lot of kids, that's just horrible for them. So yeah, that's fine for some kids, but some other kids need a different way to learn that information and show you that they've learned that information. Now, there's different types of learning. We all know some kids are kinetic. They need to do things. They learn by doing. Some kids are musical. They can learn through a song. Now, myself, not musical at all. The chances of me singing a song to my students or teaching them a song, pretty darn slim, right? But if I can find a webcast or something like that that has the information that we're trying to get and present it in a song, then I'll play it, all right? Because some kids are going to remember it that way. Other students are good speakers and would love oral presentations, while we know that other students hate oral presentations. Some kids are creative writers, and others learn in other ways yet, because I mean, there's several different types of learning, and you really just have to evaluate how your students learn. It's going to be different every year. So there's different types of teaching, and we can model different types, different learning types. And I try to do this. I try to make sure that I have different assignments, and it may be that this unit is taught over. We learn by doing something. We learn by making something physically with our hands. While the next one we do learn by worksheets. All right. You don't have to do something different for every single assignment. Maybe the big ones, and then along the way, a kid can learn. They can figure out which one suits them best. They need to learn them all right? Because I mean, I think that's important too, to understand that they're not all the same. Let each student try each learning type on small assignments, and then the big ones that get the bulk of their grade, that's when they get to choose. This makes the students responsible for their own education, as well as making you a better teacher. So my example is To Kill a Mockingbird. When I read this with my sophomores, I have several different ways that the kids can show understanding of the book. All right, those who are kinetic, all right, those who want to build stuff, they can build me a model of the town. All right, some of them are artists, and they can illustrate the book. Right, they don't have to answer all these trivial little questions and know all the quotes and who said them and know when the book was written and all that stuff to understand the meaning behind the book. All right, but by drawing, they're going to have to get into the book. By building a model, they're going to have to get into the book. They're going to have to learn where everything goes. All right, I let other students act out certain scenes from the book, and it's not just 3 scenes in a row. It's something from the beginning, something from the middle, and something from the end. Some of them create a scrapbook. of one of the characters in the book. It has to be from that perspective. So kids that are good at scrapbooking, I mean, that would be awesome, but it can't just be a general analysis of the book. It has to be written as if it were Scout Finch's scrapbook, or Jim Finch's scrapbook, or Boo Radley's scrapbook. Okay, and then other kids are creative writers. I let them rewrite the ending of the book, starting with, say, the trial, and then go from there. Maybe they didn't. A lot of kids don't like the ending of that book, so I'll let them rewrite it. I've had a couple of kids attempt to make a video, reshoot scenes of the movie, because the only movie of the book was done in like the 1963 or something like that. So I mean, there's just a lot of different things that you can do. Now, here is my example of the test that I use. If it'll pull up here, okay. And this is, I have 10 choices on here. All right. Number 1 is illustrations. Number 2 is the writing them into script form and portraying them. Number 3 is rewriting the ending. Then I have the scrapbook, the diorama. They can do a journal entry, or a journal with no less than 50 entries. They can rewrite no less than 50 chapters of the books into children's books. And I've had some pretty cool children's books come out of this assignment. It's been pretty sweet. They can actually create their own test of the book. And I don't let them get anything on like off of the internet. They have to actually come up with questions, but then they have to do the answers too. Now, a lot of kids think, oh, that'll be so easy. All right, and yeah, maybe it is. I mean, think about, if you've read the book, how hard is it to come up with these questions, all right? But then they have to answer them too, all right? They don't have to take it. They just have to create the test with an answer key, right? Number 9 is photo portfolio with no less than 20 photos, where they have to restage scenes from the book, and And then number 10 is simply the final exam that I wrote, 10 years ago when I first started teaching it. All right, and it is a big, nasty book. Or a test. I add to it every year. It's like 10 pages long. A lot of kids don't want to do that one, but I have some kids that do, right? And that's perfectly fine. Now, when you do stuff like that, you have to have grading rubrics. How are you going to grade it and give them the right amount of points? So I came up with a rubric for each of them. Actually, not for each of them, because I've had kids that haven't. I mean, I have had some of those choices that nobody's ever done before, right? So I haven't had to worry about those yet. And when it comes time, I'll do it. And I can reuse this stuff every single year. So it's not like I have to do something, do all of this at once. The first year, I think I had like maybe 3 or 4 choices. The second year, I added a couple more. I'm up to 10 now. So this is for the create your own test. And it simply has the required elements: vocab, true, false, all these things. And then, doesn't include material from the beginning, middle, and the end. Was the answer key correct? I mean, yeah, you have to go through and grade it. And I have a lot more fun grading these projects rather than grading 65 of the tests that I make. All right, that is so boring. So there's one. Here's another one. This one is the illustrations. And all it has to do is ask these questions. And then you can award points to that based on how you answered these questions. And the last one I'm going to show you, I have, I think I have 6 of them, but I'm only going to show you 3. This is the scrapbook, right? And I think this one was written from Boo Radley's perspective. If I had a kid do one over Scout Finch, all right, then all I would have to do is change representation of Boo Radley's ideals to Scout Finch's ideals. All right, so that's kind of some of the things, or one of the things that I do and how I approach that. My justification is pretty simple. Each student demonstrates their understanding of the book. Their presentation of their project is their final exam. I mean, how better to show understanding of a book than to get up and present something that you made yourself? All right, even if they make the test, I'm going to make them get up and talk about how they made the test, where they got their questions from, what kind of questions they picked. Were they trivial? Were they higher learning? Were they, deeper understanding? They're going to show planning and understanding, and they're going to present what they've done. All right, you can't just give them this the day before it's due. All right, I give them, it takes us 9 weeks to read the book. I give this to them like 3 weeks in. So they have 6 weeks to work on this project, to think about what they're going to do, how they're going to approach it, and then to put something together. So that on the day when some of my kids are actually taking the test, everyone else is putting the finishing project or the finishing touches on theirs. Right? And so, I mean, that really works out pretty well. Then we do a couple days of presentations, and the kids that took the test that I made, I mean, they get to sit back and watch and not worry about it anymore, right? So each student teaches other students in their own way, and I think that's part of the kicker of this assignment is just that each student is up there giving a presentation. Here are my resources. I just did a quick search for some differentiated instruction resources to help other people kind of figure out maybe how to approach this with their. Now, I didn't use any of these myself. I looked through them and said, wow, some of these are great for like really looking at how to incorporate some differentiated instruction into your own lessons. So that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed the show.